back to the Daily Grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. You know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
With Demetrious Johnson versus Ray Borg being canceled at UFC 215 due to Ray Borg falling ill, the UFC is looking to rebook Demetrious Johnson versus Ray Borg as soon as UFC 216. And that's great news for us as MMA fans, and it's also great news for UFC 216, which needed a title fight to really make it a legitimate pay-per-view. Because as of right now, the only title fight scheduled for UFC 216 was an interim title, and it was Tony Ferguson versus Kevin Lee, which is an amazing fight, but it is just an interim title. There's no telling that person, and it also helps sell that the winner of that fight moves on to fight Conor McGregor. Ideally, that's what's supposed to happen, but as we've heard, Khabib was promised the winner of this fight even though he's not the champion. So the winner of this fight might not fight Conor McGregor, but that is what they're supposed to do. That is what they'll be in line to do. They will become the interim lightweight champion, who then moves on to unify their belt with the undisputed lightweight champion Conor McGregor. But Conor McGregor, we all know, is looking to fight Nate Diaz, and the only way that really happens is if Conor somehow doesn't have the belt, which would open up Khabib Nurmagomedov for Kevin Lee or Tony Ferguson, whoever wins the fight. Now, UFC 216 as a card needed a title fight to really legitimize it. And as of right now, it is a nice card. Let's get to the fights that are already on the card. I mean, I was gonna be watching it regardless, but this will definitely help legitimize it as a pay-per-view. As before, it only had Kevin Lee versus Tony Ferguson. Then you move down, there was a heavyweight fight, not a title fight, but it's still a fun fight. Derek Lewis versus Fabricio Verdum. That's there's a not really title. The winner of that's probably not fighting for the title, but there's still a top 5, top 10 heavyweight match. It's going to be fun. Swing and bang, Derek Lewis versus former champion Fabricio Verdum. That's going to be fun. It's a great fight. I love the fight. Also, we have Paige Van Zandt versus I believe Jessica Eye. Yes, Paige Van Zandt versus Jessica Evil Eye on the card. That's going to be a good fight. It's at a new weight class, 125 pounds. Women's flyweight division. Paige Van Zandt's moving up. Jessica Eye's moving down. It's going to be fun to see how that works right there. You know, if Jessica Eye looks bigger, even though they're both at 125 pounds, I assume she'll probably still be a little bigger than Paige Van Zandt, but it's going to be fun because this opens up, this female flyweight division opens up so many possibilities, great fights at this division. I mean, you can have Valentina Shevchenko come down, who I think Valentina Shevchenko is the pound-for-pound #1 women fighter on the planet, just because she can do it at 125 pounds, I believe, and 135 pounds. Amanda Nunes, who has beat Valentina Shevchenko twice, can only do it at 135 pounds. She would have a tough fight against Chris Cyborg, and she couldn't make 125 pounds, I'm thinking. So Valentina Shevchenko translates to different weight classes. So you could have Valentina Shevchenko come down and Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the dominant champion from 115, come up, and that's a super fight. They've already fought in Muay Thai before. Valentina Shevchenko got the best of her 3 times in a row, I believe. But this is MMA. Joanna Jędrzejczyk's the queen of MMA as of right now, as of today. She's been whooping ass in MMA. So with that being said, there's super fights. What if Ronda Rousey comes back? Ronda Rousey versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk at 125 pounds. I mean, there's a lot of potential fights at this that this division opens up. So that's interesting. You got Paige Van Zandt on the card. Other than that, you got Lando Venata returning versus Bobby Green. That's going to be a good fight. You also got John Moraga versus Magomed Bibulutov. That's going to be a fun fight. Talis Latis versus Brad Tavares. That's definitely going to be a fun fight. Will Brooks versus Nick Lynch. Let's fucking go. That's a great fight. And Beneil Dariush versus Evan Dunham. So this is a fucking great card. UFC 216 is a great card, but to bolster it as a view, Demetrious Johnson versus Ray Borg would be a great addition to the card. I really hope this gets rebooked for here because Demetrious Johnson was ready to fight. Ray Borg didn't miss weight, dude. I know a lot of people think he did because he pulled out of this fight and he's missed weight multiple times before, and he fired his nutrition company. So people are like, oh, he fired his nutritionist, he must have missed weight. But the thing is, he got ill. It was before the bulk of the weight cut, so he got ill, which is why it's a lot better than missing weight. If he would have missed weight, he wouldn't have been getting rebooked for the title fight. Getting ill is a lot different. So Ray Borg and Demetrious Johnson, I mean, I'm fine. You know how I feel about Ray Borg getting the title shot. That's not why I'm happy about the fight. I'm happy about the fight because UFC 216 needs another title fight, and also Demetrious Johnson, he can, after he breaks the record, he can move on to bigger and better things hopefully, and prove he's the #1 pound for pound fighter now. I'm talking about today, maybe because back in the past when he lost to a bigger fighter at a bigger division, he's grown since then. So maybe he can move up to 135 pounds now and look good. Who knows? We'll never know, because he's not going to do that until he breaks the record. So if he can do that versus Ray Borg, which he's expected to do, that would be awesome. I hope this fight gets scheduled for UFC 216. I really, really do. I think that would really help the card. I don't really know. It's happened before, right, with Max Holloway, Anthony Pettis. They've headlined a pay-per-view. What was that, UFC 206, if my fucking mind's not too crazy? But anyway, so I didn't really think about it as a pay-per-view being headlined by an interim title championship before now. So hopefully, and I wonder, will Demetrious Johnson versus Ray Borg be the main event if they get bumped? If they get bumped to this card? Because that's a legitimate title. That's Demetrious Johnson. He was going to headline 215 over Amanda Nunes, which is pretty big considering Amanda Nunes headlined UFC 200, and she also beat Ronda Rousey, headlined UFC 207. Amanda Nunes has headlined some big cards, and Demetrious Johnson was going to be headlining over Amanda Nunes. So you got to wonder, will they put Demetrious Johnson in the headline over the interim title fight? I tend to believe they will, and since this card, UFC 216, is not official, maybe they'll announce it. My prediction is they will announce UFC being rebooked at the Luke Rockhold David Branch fight. They like to break news during their fights. So my prediction is we'll hear about this Saturday. It'll be rebooked for UFC 216. It'll be great news for everybody. I'm happy about it. It is what it is, man. I'm off of work. Let the haters know what the fuck you tell me in the comments, dude. What do you call a gangbanger behind bars? Anything you want.